What's up, everybody? It's NFL Week 5. Tony Jigsaw Cotillo here, as always, on the Alternative Edge, powered by our good friends over there at BetQL. Make sure you get over to betql.co. Use that promo code Jigsaw, get your 15%, and make sure you scan that QR code right there. You'll get all the special deals that are going on right now, be above and beyond just the one I mentioned, okay? So we got a big week as always. Some people are 0-4, some people are 1-4, some people are riding high at 4-0. We shall see, right? We shall see where the dust settles. But it's early. It's early to be packing in. I've already talked to a couple people, and for some reason they're like, "Oh man, you know what? I don't know. I think my season's over." Why? Just remember something. There's always a way to get creative. There's always a way to get creative. Okay. I'll say it again, there is always a way to get creative. Now, this isn't going to be a very long stream. I had a unfortunately terrible night because my Phillies shit the bed. Okay, so I'm hoping for a better day today for Philadelphia Eagle land, right? So we're going to get into some bets. I have two monster parlays. One of them is only 2 legs. I got 4 DFS players that I want to focus on that you can focus on for bets, and obviously we'll check out what the top 3 games are from BetQL and what those people are looking at just from a model perspective, right? That's just guidance. I like that as guidance. It's one thing that we always talk about. So remember, last night, last night on the plus money prop train, we hit the Christopher Sanchez, not just the over 6.5, on strikeouts, but we also went a little jigsaw crazy and went up 8 or more. So we hit that as well. So we cashed out a plus 375 because we got the boost. Okay, so we got the boost. That was a big deal. You always want to get the boost when it's available. Last week we hit the monster 4-legger. We go 4-0. Okay, almost 11-1. We got the boy Alec who scored or who gave us all we needed on 2 catches. Obviously, Bijan, Rashad White, and Tyler Warren. So this week we're gonna go even more. Okay, we're gonna go even more and see what happens. Okay, we're gonna go even more and see what happens. So let's get right into it. Let's go to right off the bat. Let's go to DFS. And again, make sure you like and subscribe as always. I say that all the time. But sometimes people they just don't like and subscribe. I don't know, right? I mean, do you like what you're saying? I say it all the time. Do you like what you're saying? Because if you do, why wouldn't you like and subscribe? Now, remember, a lot of these plays are going to be based on whether who's out. Okay, a lot of that is going to be based on who's out. Okay, one person in particular, man. Person. My man Sean checking in. Yeah, what's up, Sean? He says, "Good morning, Tony. Nice hit to the 2-2 ladder. Have some free bets and props burning a hole in my pocket. Can't wait for the picks." So if everybody doesn't understand, I didn't put this in here, but we hit on the 2-2 Atwell play on Thursday night, and we only again it was over 10.5. Right, that was actually the BetQL bet of the day. Was only over 10.5. Well, obviously he smashed that, so we got that. So let's get right into it. I'm gonna throw my DFS plays up, and again, even if you don't play DFS, right? Even if you don't play DFS, you can use this towards your betting models and analysis on guys maybe you want to look at. Okay, because again, just remember the last 2 weeks we hit on the DFS tight end, the AEVP. Okay, the AEVP and Josh Oliver, we hit on him. The AEVP on Tommy Tremble, we hit on him. So who's going to be the alternative edge value play of the day? So let's throw this up right here. And I'm telling you right now, my AEVP is circled right here in Cade Otton. It just happened to be a tight end again. I love Cade Otton today. Number one, you already see the opponent's rank on defense. We get it. And this has nothing to do with it. What this has to do with was what happened last week. He got more snaps. Okay. We talked about what was going to happen with the Mike Evans injury. And I talked about Rashad White maybe getting a little more love, right? We talked about that. Can Rashad White get a little more love? And he did, right? And by snap, right? Doesn't necessarily mean, okay, that he was going to get more volume in one specific area. I just wanted him to be on the field more. Now, Cade Otton's been really quiet. Okay, he's been really quiet. But since Mike Evans goes down, it was only week 1 week sample size, but this is what I like to see. He had a season high in targets in 4, catches in 3. And oh, by the way, Seattle, we talked about that low rank, 83% catch rate to opposing tight ends and at least 8.1 fantasy points to 5 of them, making Otten a huge, huge upside, especially on a week where you have 4 teams on bye and you're looking for streamers. So I like the Cade Otten play today, 100%. Cade Otten is my guy for AEVP, 100%. Now, let's go to Dallas. Let's go to Big D. Kevontae Turpin out. Kevontae Turpin out. One thing I said this before. Remember, I said, after Pickens, it was going to be Turpin. I would look at Turpin. Well, maybe I was wrong because Jalen Tolbert just continued to excel last week. His share is going up every single week. And in a game where I expect a lot of points to be scored, just like a lot of other people, okay, Jalen Tolbert is in the perfect situation to have a big game. Because, again, remember, a lot of teams, not just like us, a lot of teams were looking, and I say us as fantasy players, what will George Pickens do? Will George Pickens take the ball and run with it? Will George Pickens be that guy that says, you know what, it's my time now? Or will he be the head case George Pickens? Which one will it be? Well, it was the latter. He was the man. However, now the Jets and again, I know the Jets stink right now. However, Aaron Glenn is a very, very, very prideful head coach and defensive mind. They are going to do everything they can to take George Pickens out and stymie this dude. Will it work? I don't know. Who's going to be recipient? It's going to be Ferguson, and it's going to be Jalen Tolbert because Kevontae Turpin is out. Okay? Kevontae Turpin is out. So that's why I like Jalen Tolbert in this game. Okay? Because George Pickens is not going to have another 134 and 2 game. Something's going to go to Tolbert, right? So, and that's why I always say you have to read it between the lines, right? You have to read it between the lines. So Tolbert is a bigger receiver, and he's been going up every single week in targets, 2, 4, and tied for 6 the last 2 weeks. And again, he's going up. And one thing I always look at, you'll see this in the betting market later, okay, is the yards per catch. Last week was 15.3. So in an atmosphere that's going to be bombs away, because that's all that Dallas does, bombs away, I am all in on Jalen Tolbert. Yes, Jalen Tolbert. I told you, I pick guys that not everybody picks, right? Right? Again, my man Japan checking in. Japan hit on the money line last night. Okay, what was that? Japan plus 215 in UFC. Dropped it for us on the stream, I think on Thursday. Let everybody know, here's the UFC bet. That's what you get. You get free bets, not just from me, but you get it from the followers as well. And the guys that know shit, which is Japan, which he knows a lot of shit when it comes to UFC. So great hit, Japan. Great hit, my man. Now, let's go to New Orleans. And let's go to, now you heard me earlier. I specifically said that I was in on Spencer Rattler. Okay? I was in on Spencer Rattler because, again, as a streaming option for somebody that you can use with all these buys and injuries, this is somebody you can use. He is absolutely consistent, 15 to 20 points per week. That's what you want. Taysom Hill comes back this week. Foster Moreau comes back this week. So again, Taysom Hill may be in, but again, Taysom Hill is going to make that offense flow even a little more. But I'll tell you what, I know a lot of people, they drafted Shaheed to be a bigger part. Okay, I get it, right? I understand. But if you read between the lines, Rashid Shaheed has actually had a decent year. Okay. Now, the reason why I say that, I get it. He's become touchdown dependent this year. Okay. So, and he's only had more than 50 yards once, which was in week 1, or actually week 2, and he had a touchdown in that week. But again, thinking about the way that Kellen Moore calls plays, and I've seen this in Philadelphia. The one thing I will say is Rashid Shaheed, if he wasn't getting the targets, I would be upset. But he's getting at least 5. Okay. And he's turning them into 4, which is a 90 to 95% target to catch ratio, which I absolutely love. He's still in double digits in yards per catch, right? Still in double digits, averaging a little bit above 10. And he still only has one touchdown, but I'm not worried about that. Every week he's giving me 8 to 10, 8 to 10, 8 to 10. Well, this is the week where that 8 to 10 becomes 18 to 20. This is the week where it breaks out. Again, I look at this matchup and I'm like, obviously against the Giants, they're hurting and we're in New Orleans. I like their front, but here's the thing. I don't worry about the Giants back end of the defense. I worry about the front end, right? With Brian Burns. However, when you have a mobile quarterback like Spencer Rattler, whether it be Taysom Hill, that stymies that defensive front a little bit. And that gives players a little more time for these big routes to develop, which is exactly what Shaheed does. So I like Shaheed in this game for that special reason. This is my Rashid Shaheed week. Okay. This is my Rashid Shaheed week. So I'm all in. And speaking on that game, we're gonna stick with the guy who last week showed he's ready, which is Condre Miller. Condre Miller, and again, the BetQL had all over it. They had the I said, why are they going over on his rushes at like 14 yards? Like all of a sudden, Condre Miller. Well, I know why. Because again, Condre Miller showed that extra burst. Condre Miller showed that extra spark. Condre Miller showed that he could be a focal point in this offense. Okay. And one thing's for sure, they love throwing the ball to Alvin Kamara, right? And he likes catching it. So you could go way back to where Kamara and Ingram were both Pro Bowl players. There was a way to put both of these guys in this offense. And if there's any way or any guy that can figure that out, it's Kellen Moore, in my opinion. And I think this just bodes more for Condre Miller because I think he's going to carve out a bigger role in the offense this week, especially against the Giants. Okay, honestly, especially against the Giants. Again, a big front. How do you keep them honest? You run the ball a little bit. So I like Condre Miller a lot. Again, and you can use that whether it be in DFS. Use that for your fantasy football plays if you need a streamer, or obviously use that for your bets. You can use that as well. So that's what it's always about. You want to use these things in different areas. And last one I love is Josh Downs. No Alec Pierce today. Okay, Josh Downs again. I know everybody's been down on Josh Downs. Vegas comes to town right now. No matter what, the Vegas, they're all over the place. Okay, they're all over the place. We don't even know what they're doing right now. Now, whether you want to think Josh Downs is a touchdown dependent receiver or not, it's okay. Okay, it's okay. Now, it says he's only been playing in 3 wide receiver sets. That's fine because, like I told you again, right? Alec Pierce is out, so it's going to be Michael Pittman, right? It's going to be Adonai Mitchell. It's going to be Josh Downs. Josh Downs instantly moves up, in my opinion, to that wide receiver 2 role this week. And obviously, you have Warren, which we know about, but this is going to be an air out game, man. This is going to be an air out game, and you could say whatever. What I look at when I do these plays, okay, is are they getting consistent volume? Whether it's in 4 wide receiver sets, whether it's in 3 wide receiver sets, whether he's always like, no matter what, is he getting the volume? And I'll tell you what, it's back and forth. 3 targets a week 1, 8 targets a week 2, 3 targets a week 3, 5 targets a week 4. But this is the game where you go back to those 8 targets, especially because there's no Alec Pierce. So now all of a sudden, you become the guy that wants to stretch the field a little bit more, right? You become Daniel Jones' guy that he's going to look at again to go long. So I like this Josh Downs week. I do. I like it. And there's a lot of good value in a betting market for Josh Downs. So I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to stick to my gut. And based on what I play, it's again, it hasn't dropped with me now. Okay. So I'm going to continue it. Okay. So again, I'm going to continue it. So and again, I know people might say he works that short to intermediate game, but he has that Wan'Dale Robinson ability. And I just think that this could be one of those weeks where they shine with Josh Downs, bring you back, and then everybody jumping on probably lay an egg the following week. But as long as he hits us hard this week, I am all in. I am all in, man. Sean says, with Bucky out this week, where are you at on White? It's funny. I really, really like Rashad White. Um, I like him more, Sean, this week because Mike Evans is still out. I continue to say that because if you noticed last week, a lot of times, obviously it was that big play, right? That big play to Bucky Irvin. They got him. They caught the rookie in Jihad Campbell in Philadelphia in a bad spot, so he was able to take the house. Now, does he have that ability? In my opinion, no. However, this could be this game where Seattle clamps down a little bit in the front, and they really make Baker really make Baker do a lot of checkdowns and a lot of intermediate throws. And I will tell you this, Sean, this is what I'm looking at. Again, this is what I'm looking at. So when I brought up, and again, I'm going to bring it right up on the screen so everybody sees it, because I want to show you guys what I'm looking at. And again, if you ever want to get involved, use a code word Jigsaw, get your 15% off. You get everything in one spot. So let me share this screen for a second, and this is why. All right, so let me get my thing off the screen so you guys can get full screen here. Hold on. See, I'm my own producer here, right? So I'm my own producer. So there you go. All right. So this is what I'm looking at right here, BetQL. Okay, Tampa and Seattle. And again, this is what you get with your BetQL. You get everything, right? You get your injuries, your lines, your line movement, your schedule summary, your team summary, your prediction, your player props, your sharp betting, your model bets, everything, right? Well, what the line is, where you want to bet it, right? You go down here, it gives you a little where the sharp money's coming in, where a number of the tickets are coming in. Do they think they put everything on a star bet? This is a 3-star game, okay? So here's the player props, and they give you what their star rating is for each prop. The reason why I want to bring this up, and the reason why I'm telling you that I think this is going to be a very interesting week when it comes from Rashad White out of the backfield, okay, is coming down here. Sterling Shepard. Look at these 5-star bets that this mile's predicting. Under 2.5 receptions, under 25.5 receiving yards. What does that mean? What does that mean? That means more ability to catch from the backfield in Rashad White and little routes by Cade Otton. Why? Because it looks like they're predicting, which is I am too, that they're going to try to shut down those intermediate routes from Chris Godwin and obviously Sterling Shepard. Now, Ibuka is a monster, right? You can only hope to contain him. However, these intermediate routes are going to be huge today. So that's what I'm looking at right there when it comes to Rashad White and Cade Otton. And that's why, Sean, I like Rashad White this week a lot. If you can get some, I don't know what the number is, but I'd be all in on the rushing receiving yard props, the R&R for Rashad White, because I think he's going to be able to be utilized in several different ways. So I'm all in on that play right there. So again, this is BetQL. Use that 50% off code word Jigsaw. Okay, you get all the games. Every game you click on, this is what's great about it. You click on the game. It's a 5-star bet. That they're talking a 5-star game, I should say. Houston and Baltimore. You come down, like you have all the player props, you have everything here. Again, and it's just a guide. But what I like about it is it gives you what their projections are going to be, right? And then it gives you what they're looking at as the best bet that they can find, but then they're going to rate it. So that doesn't mean that necessarily that they're like, oh, you got to bet this. If it's a 2-star, they're just saying that's the best they found, but they're only rating it 2 stars, right? That's the way that goes. So all right, so let's get back into this. Let me bring the screen back up. Got a couple questions because I'm gonna get out of here in 5 minutes. I want to be out of here really soon. Got a lot of stuff to do. Got to do the honeydew list. Obviously before we get there. So here's my 4 play, or actually 5 DFS plays that I'm looking at. So let's get into some bets. My man Adam, what's up, Adam? Tim Board says, "What's up, Tim?" He says, "What do you think about Barkley paired with the Philadelphia defense?" I'll tell you what, the Broncos can be run on. The Broncos can be run on. I think this is an interesting game. If the Eagles weren't 4-0, I would be all in on the Birds, right? I would be. The only thing that you have to think about, Tim, is number one, Barkley's he's gonna ball out eventually, right? I think we all know that. But the one thing you have to look at, this goes back to the Andy Reid years. This goes back to the John Gruden years. Sean Payton, a New York Giant disciple, right? So he knows the tendencies of this team. He knows the tendencies of that offense. He gets it, right? He gets it. So this is one of those games where you're not only playing up against the team, you're playing up against the head coach. And I'm a big Sean Payton guy. So Sean Payton's going to put some wrinkles in this on both sides to make sure he tries to stymie this game. Now, the defense, the only thing that concerns me about the Philadelphia defense right now is Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter is hurting. Right? There's been a lot of reports that he's got multiple shots in the shoulder. He's been trying everything, and it's not helping. You see, if you watch him throughout the game, sometimes he can barely go into his stance because it hurts that bad. That's going to be a problem. That's something to look at. Right? And for my money, that's why I think this is going to be an RJ Harvey week. It's going to be an RJ Harvey week for Denver. I still think Philadelphia wins the game, and I do think Saquon Barkley gets his today. I think this is the Saquon Barkley day because they can be run on as a defense, and they've shown that in the past. So I would just be very careful with the defense. It depends on what you're expecting. That's all, because I can see them putting up a good 21, 24 points against the Eagles. Like, this could be like a 31-24 game. It really could. This is going to be an interesting one. Really, really interesting one. All right, let's get into, because I'm going to be getting out of here. So let's bring in the big parlay. Okay. Now, last week, this is what we hit. Okay. This week, this is what we're going with. All right. So let's go. 4 legs, boost it. All right, goes from plus 1118 all the way to plus 1677. Okay, and again, I love the single bets. I tell everybody, put the money on the single bets as well. So if you go 3 or 4, or whether you want to round robin it, you go 3 or 5, you go 2 or 2 or 4, 3 or 4, whatever you want to do. It's totally up to you. All depends on what your bankroll obviously allows you to do. But I really like these plays. I talked about Josh Downs, so we're going to go over 37.5 on his yardage. Just rewind on why I like Josh Downs. Kendre Miller, I went R&R in Kendre Miller. I did. I like this up because I do think that there's times where he's going to get some passes out of the backfield when Kamara's not in there. So I'm playing it safe a little bit with the over 35.5 R&R on Kendre Miller. And then we talked about Justin Tolbert. Okay, or Jalen Tolbert. I talked about him earlier, so you can rewind and figure that out. That's a minus 118 bet. It's still a very valuable number, over 37.5 receiving yards. So I do like that. And I talked about the RJ Harvey game. Listen, one thing's for sure that we heard all offseason, or I should say in the preseason, Jahad Campbell is a beast. Okay. However, the one thing they were worried about, the Philadelphia Eagles were worried about in training camp, was the over pursuit and the over aggressiveness of Jahad Campbell. Meaning sometimes he overdoes it. He over pursues. And you saw that happen against Bucky Irving when Bucky Irving went off. I am telling you right now, they are going to try to exploit that 100%. And Sean Payton is a mastermind when it comes to exploiting the opposing defense on the offensive side of the ball. So I would really, really look at that. That's why I like the R&R for RJ Harvey. I play it safe because I do think he's going to get – the Eagles can be run on, obviously, but I think one of those couple big plays that he's going to get, one of those 2 big plays is going to come out of the backfield from a pass, and I can see that in RJ Harvey. So I like that. And there you go. That's plus 1677. Okay, plus 1677 with the boost. Now, I got one more before I get out of here, and it's only a 2-legger. Okay, it's only a 2-legger. But this is, again, we boosted this again to plus 1818. And 2 guys that I keep telling you that I like, and I put a unit each, okay, on Josh Downs anytime touchdown and Rashid Shaheed anytime touchdown. And I also parlayed them together as a combo anytime touchdown bet. I like this play a lot. This is what I'm looking at. Again, all you need to do, I put the bets at the end, so you heard my analysis in the beginning, and these are the bets right here. Okay, so we're going to rewind before we get out of here. Okay, here's my DFS plays of the day. My AEVP is going to be Kate Otten. Okay, I am going with the parlay right here of Josh Downs over 37.5, over 35.5, Kendra Miller, over 37.5, Jalen Tolbert, and over 44.5 for RJ Harvey. Okay, this is what we hit last week. So let's see if we can hit this one today. And then we're going to go again with the combo with Josh Downs, Rashid Shaheed, anytime touchdowns. That's it, man. We're out of here. Everybody, happy betting. Happy fantasy football week 5. Listen, scan that QR code. Very, very simple. Scan that QR code. You'll see everything on there. Okay. You see everything on there, whether it be the underdog partners, whether it be the plus money prop trade, right? Whether it be BetQL for, again, everything that they offer that I showed you, man. It's astronomical. So you use that code word Jigsaw, but those links will take you right specifically there. And don't forget, man, the plus money prop train looking to ride again today. I'm Tony Jigsaw Consola. Everybody have a fantastic week. And I'm sure we'll get you in the threads, get in the free Discord as well, so we can find out who hit, who didn't hit, what was a good play, what was a bad play. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll catch you.